I was raised in a cute little farm town in southern Idaho, and it was very religious. And so I didn't know the word transgender growing up. I didn't even know what the word gay meant for most of my life until I knew that I was attracted to men. And that's kind of when I was like, oh, that's what gay is. It's not just like this derogatory word that people call me on the playground. I am, and so like coming to realize that was really challenging in my sheltered life, and I have social media to thank for that, because if it weren't for the beginnings of YouTube and seeing people, like Hannah Hart, Tyler Oakley, Ryan James Yezik, Miles J, you know what I mean? Those early YouTubers that were queer, just living their lives authentically. That's when I finally started to realize, like, other people feel like I do. Like, I'm not alone in this. It was really beautiful and powerful to witness that. Because I didn't have cable until I was 13 growing up. And so to see people live authentically online was how I was truly introduced to the queer community. And so that's why really I do what I do today, is because I don't want anyone to ever feel alone or, so shameful. Like, I grew up, I finally ended up coming out as gay in 2010, was when I like finally realized, like, okay, I've seen some of these queer YouTubers, like, I'm super femme, men are cute. I was, raised really religious. I was grounded for a long period of time. I was already really struggling with like what religion, taught me, that I'm a sinner or whatever. And so to then have that reinforced by my parents was just really disheartening. I was sick and tired of crying and praying on my hands and knees down on the floor of my bedroom, asking God to turn me straight or whatever. And that clearly didn't work. But at the time, that's something that I really struggled with. And so I started surrounding myself with people who understood what I felt like. And I started talking about it at church, and I started challenging the teachings that, were kind of forced upon me, until I finally realized there's nothing wrong with me. I am perfect. I am beautifully and wonderfully made. I no longer believe in God. And I think it was actually harder for me to kind of come out as an atheist than it was to come out as queer. So I went to college in Seattle, and I went to a drag show. It's like the biggest event on campus. I knew I needed to go, as terrified as I was, because for me, I was like, I like men, but like, mask for mask. I was never a mask, but I thought I was. I tried to be as masculine as I could be. It never worked, obviously. And so halfway through the show, she asked for volunteers for an amateur drag race. I had no idea what I was getting into, but I shyly just raised my hand. I jumped up and I was like, I volunteer, I guess. And I was chosen to go up. And when they made me up in drag in the back, I started crying. I actually had to leave and go to the bathroom, because seeing myself done up so high feminine as a woman for the first time ever, I was like, oh my God, it was like meeting myself for the first time. I looked at myself and I was like, that's me. I started seeing a therapist, and I started reaching out to people who felt like I did. And in spring of 2015, I came out to everybody. I started hormones, and I came out as trans. And it's been a long journey since then. I came out as bi shortly after. I was like, oh, I'm allowed to be feminine. Now that I finally accept the femininity in myself, I can accept it in other people. And more recently, I've been exploring my non-binary identity. Yeah, I'm a woman, kind of, but not really. But, I'm non-binary, but like I'm high femme and 0% a man, not a man, none of that. But, sometimes I just have to laugh and not take things so seriously. But first and foremost, the most important relationship you have is with yourself. I tell myself positive affirmations. So I give myself a hug every morning, and I do this thing called a bilateral movement. It's a technique that I've learned from therapists, and I hug myself and I tap side to side and I say, Rose, you are powerful. You're beautiful. You're confident. You're smart. And, I just tell myself whatever I need to hear for the day. And sometimes it's really hard. When I first started doing that a few years ago, it was very difficult. I would cry. I would dread it. I did not like doing it. But the more and more I did it, the more I started to believe it. If you haven't heard that today, I want to let you know that you are beautiful and that you are valid and you are so loved. Oh my goodness, this has been so wonderful. I appreciate each and every one of you who helped organize this. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you to all of the participants. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you so much.